I was raised Catholic. That was something that was a big part of my life, especially in my high school years. I was very involved in it. I was, in the liturgy community. I'd hand out the body and the bread of Christ. That was probably one of my proudest moments, was being involved in that in high school. And then I went to uni. That was probably 3 big years. I never expected to go to uni. I hooked up with a different church there, which was really interesting because it was completely different to like the Catholic Church, which I'd never experienced. And then I kind of strayed away for a while, probably for about a year, and never really looked back. I just stayed away. And then I went through a bit of an incident, probably my final year of uni, which really threw me off. I had a really difficult time being in a room full of people. I was scared of my lecturers, just even them entering the room, all of a sudden I panicked and full on jumped and my head would hit the roof. I suffered panic attacks. I tried to get over it by overexposing myself, as it was explained to me, was when you basically put yourself in a situation where your mind just cannot compute what is going on, and in response you just break down. And my breaking down was screaming in front of people that I didn't know and running off in the opposite direction. It got to the point where I said to myself, okay, I want this to be over, so I'm going to give myself a year and I'm just going to stay in my comfort zone, figure out what is actually stuff that I can't do. So going to shopping centres, going out for dinner, going to a bar, going to a pub, all of those I cancelled out. So I would stay home. And then one day I remember just scrolling through YouTube and a Bible study popped up. And I remember thinking, I had a few pretty good years when I was actually switched on in church. I'll save this and I'll watch this for later. And so I dug out my Bible and I saved the video to remember to actually watch it the next day. And I remember when I went to go to bed, vividly, I remember hearing a male voice saying my name. And I kind of freaked because I'm like, there's a male voice in my room, this is not cool. And getting up, and I thought it was my dad, dad coming in wanting my attention for something, but the whole house was dark. No one was up or anything. So I went back to bed, hopped in, and then I heard my name being spoken twice more. And then the next day I sat down and I went, okay, I'm doing this Bible study. And it was the book of James, and it was probably one of the best books I've ever read. I absolutely loved it. And I felt this pull, this urge to actually go to Elevate, because I drove past Elevate all the time. And I think it was a couple of months later, I thought, I'm going to take the plunge. I'm going to actually rock up. I'm going to go outside my comfort zone. I'm going into a crowd of people, even though I really do not want to. And so I turned up. Absolutely terrified out of my mind, because I just don't do crowds, don't like people. I remember being greeted with so many smiling faces and people who really wanted me to be there. And I met a few new friends who I really appreciate their support. They've been with me through my highs, through my lows, and it was just so great to connect with them. It was probably about a couple of months later when I thought, okay, I'm going to get some help. And so I went and saw a counsellor. It wasn't very enjoyable going to see a counsellor, because you kind of admit things and they pull things out and they really get to the actual point. But every week I turn up to church, and just having people there who are willing to listen to you, willing to support you as well, that's probably the biggest support and biggest thing that impacted me. And then I thought I was all right, so I stopped seeing my counsellor. And I remember listening to one of the sermons that you did, I think My Name is Victorious. That was probably one of the best sermons I've ever heard. It really just made me break down in tears, and and make me realise that I'm not damaged goods. You know, I'm victorious. You know, I've conquered all these things. I've actually stepped into a room full of crowded people, and I thought I was okay, and then I wasn't. I instead saw another counsellor, and she really helped me accept that that it's okay to not be okay. And she was really reinforcing, like, you know, God is there for you. God's always protecting you. She would always send me Bible verses, which really helped as well. Even though I don't believe she was a Christian, she would still reiterate that because I have that strong faith. Listen to it, you know, really use that. It's probably about 2 years, and I actually ventured outside with Mum and Dad. We went for dinner out in a pub, which I'd never done before, and I survived. I couldn't believe it. I was so excited to be able to get outside of my own home and not panic or break down, which is something that I really struggled with. Just feel so thankful for the fact that Elevate's always been there, and I've always had friends who are really supporting me. So I was christened when I was a little kid, but I have had this urge to actually make it official because God's been such a huge part of my life, especially in my 20s. And I thought, you know, with this urge to be baptised, like, I am accepting him into my life. I'm accepting the fact that he's changed me from where I was, you know, literally like suffering from post-traumatic stress and breaking down out of thin air, to being able to walk into a crowd because he's done so much for me. It means the world, and want to be able to say, I accept you, and I do.
I'm so honoured to be baptising you today in our Elevate Church family. So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. So, do you believe in Jesus Christ?
Yes.
Would you want to follow him for the rest of your life?
Yes.
Cool, same here. I now baptise you in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And I'll say amen when she's dunked.